Welcome back. I've been seeing a lot of videos popping up again about Calcaro and about how he's bad. One of the more popular ones being the one from Saintontas about how he's been over-nerfed and essentially about how he sucks. So I wanted to give my perspective on all of this, being that I've experienced Wuthering Waves almost exclusively as a solo Calcaro player, in fact. So with all that being said, I just wanted to start this off by saying that I agree pretty much with everything Saintontas said. And I see no harm in the devs acknowledging all of this and hearing about all of this from the community. And hey, if they make Calcaro easier to play, and if they buff his damage or they buff his kit, my life's just going to be way easier. So no problem for me. A couple of things that I'll point out specifically that were mentioned in that video by Saintontas were that, and I really agree with this and I like his take on this, is that the issue with Calcaro is not so much his numbers, his DPS, it's more so that the devs were not as lenient with his kit and his mechanics as they were with some other characters who aren't even 5 stars, like Danjin, for example, who can charge her forte by pressing her resonance skill in the air, in thin air, not hitting anything, whereas with Calcaro, your hits actually have to connect with the enemy to generate forte, right? Another thing, of course, is the most complained about mechanic or lack thereof with Calcaro, which is that when he is in his alt state, if you dodge and you counterattack, it does not generate any forte. So obviously if the devs make these changes, he's going to become much easier to play and his damage is going to be really nice. That being said, even if they don't do any of that, one change that I think would just really be warranted and would make absolute sense already is when you are in his alt state, his resonance skill, his E, should generate forte circuit. I agree with that wholeheartedly. There's no reason why it should not do that, especially considering that it does do that when you are not in alt state. So that should just be universal. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at my progress so far in the Tower of Adversity, and we can also take a look after that at my build, for those of you who haven't seen it, and I'll correct a couple of things that were not so clear in the last few videos, and a couple of mix-ups as well that were corrected by you, the viewers, so I'll touch on that later as well. I've got some very clear demonstrations for this video. So the main sort of obstacle I'm running into is actually the monkey right now with Calcaro, and to be perfectly honest with you, Calcaro is not the problem. As you saw in that team, I had Yinlin, Calcaro, and Baiji. That's because I don't have Verena. So I simply just don't have a good support option right now. Even in my Jinsei team, I can't get the 3 Doritos, and that's because, again, I don't have good support options. I'm running Yonwu and like a level 39 Tao Chi or something. So it's not really optimal right now. That's my main obstacle, it's not Calcaro's numbers. So if, like me, you pulled Calcaro as your standard 5-star initially, or you lost a 50-50 and you got Calcaro, rest assured, you can absolutely complete this game with Calcaro, as I've demonstrated. In fact, you could do it as solo Calcaro and never have any team for anything other than tower. So I just want to make sure that you understand that you're not going to be blocked or gate kept from the content in the game because you have Calcaro. That is simply not the case. Alright, so now that I've reassured you, let's take a look at my build. For those of you who haven't seen it already in my previous videos, here it is. I'm running Lustrous Razor. My echoes, a couple of them are crazy. This one is best in slot for sure for Calcaro. These ones I can modify, the Void Thunder ones, or the Electro Damage ones, excuse me. And this one is perfect as well, so I would never change that either. Alright, so now I want to go over a little detail with the Void Thunder set bonus, the 5-piece. So let's go ahead and basic attack here. Without any buffs, it's 17-17 on the crit. If I cast a heavy, I cancel it, and now you're going to see it be buffed to 18-60 on the basic crit. So that's the first buff you get for a heavy attack cast from the Void Thunder set. So now what I'm going to try to do is cast the heavy and 1 resonance skill as well. Oh, we got frozen. Nice. Okay, here we go. So let's do the unbuffed basic first to have a baseline. So here's our baseline. 17-17. Cast a heavy. Now we should have a buff. There you go. 1860. Just make sure. 1860. There we go. So now I'm going to cast a resonance skill as well. There you go. And it's going to get buffed up to 2003. So this is just a small detail. The Void Thunder set gives you 1 buff for a heavy attack and then a 2nd buff for the resonance skill cast. And then there's a Calcaro passive as well that gives you 10% buff for resonance liberation damage once you cast a heavy attack. So you actually do need to cast the heavy. The good news is you don't actually need to wait for the entire animation to get that buff. As soon as it comes out, you can cancel it if you want to and carry on with the rest of your combo. So that's it. I hope this was helpful. I hope that cleared up a few things. Devs, if you're listening, if you're watching, please go ahead and take everyone's word for it and give Calcaro a buff. I'm all for it. That being said, for those of you who've pulled Calcaro, rest assured you can absolutely do everything in this game just as I have. I've got guides if you need help, but you're going to be able to clear everything. Don't worry about it. Don't feel bad that you have this character. He's an awesome character, and hopefully he only gets better from here. Now, as I mentioned in my last video, I would love to do some VOD review, some viewer VODs basically. So if you're a viewer and you'd like to send me a VOD, please go ahead. You'll be featured and I'll review your VOD on my next video. So thank you. Thanks for all of the support.